Hello, everyone. This is Raul Ramirez with this. I'm the media director for Sessions Girls, and we have a very special guest that I really want to have talk to everyone and explain like what a wide variety of like services or just experiences that we have at Session Girls. So we have Domina Ara Lee. Thank you very much for being here. Welcome.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you have if I would recommend everyone to go and check out her profile and see like this wide variety of like skills that you have, right? So can you kind of tell us what's like your main thing, and then maybe we can kind of talk about other things you have on there?
Sure. So I am a professional dominatrix, and I offer lots of different experiences, but the thing that I mostly enjoy is power exchange, and that can be demonstrated in a multitude of ways. I also offer different activities and experiences ranging from impact play to bondage to humiliation or degradation. Really, I'm really open. So it's it's a beautiful spectrum that I have the privilege and honor of experiencing, all the time.
Actually, that's a really good way to put it, right? The power exchange, because it's true. You can have some kind of power exchange in all kinds of, like say even sports or even different aspects of everyday life, right? So, like when you are doing so, then like a more of a regular or like your average session, like how would that kind of occur? Like most commonly.
Sure. So one of the beautiful aspects of power exchange is the willing surrender that someone gives to you. Right. So it's an honor to have that submission from somebody. And in the context of, with sessions, it's a little bit different. And that's one of the really fun things that I enjoy about sessions in general. But when it comes to the actual exchange during play, it can range from it being forced, right? So when you're overpowering somebody and you're taking that kind of power and you're exerting your physical power on them and they're kind of submitting or surrendering. It can be given to you, and that's, I wouldn't say as much in a session girl kind of environment, but it is something that can be played with and can be really, really fun. And I think that in general, having that exchange of power is a really, I don't know, it's a gift for me through and through, from the beginning of play to the end. Someone's trusting you with their body and their mind, and you are in a shared space together, having a really, really beautiful kind of experience and fun, right? Inherently, it should be fun. It should be enjoyable for both parties. And I just think it's a really, really special thing to be able to receive that, and it really feeds my soul when I play. And yeah.
Yeah, no, but that makes a lot of sense. Like you see it as something special, and like truly, even just listening to you talk, it does kind of remind me of like in our everyday lives, a lot of times people have to like hide this kind of like their true feelings about different things. It doesn't have to be like love or romance, but if they were to do a session with you, then they're actually trying to get away from kind of like that everyday life, like we say like mendacity, where it's like you have to try to hide your real self, right? To just like have this facade that you show to the world. And it's nice that you see it as an honor when like someone say were to do a session with you. It's like it's about like maybe getting rid of that, right? That getting rid of that facade. Like is that kind of how it sounds like that's kind of how you're seeing it?
Totally. So, the way I like to think about play is you are creating, right, a negotiated framework for you two to play in. And once you have that boundary or the boundaries of the scene set up, you can completely let go within it, right? And that's a really rare thing, I think, for us in this world right now. Is everything needs to be, you need to be on top of everything. You have to be very much cognizant all the time, right? And very conscientious of what you say and what you do and how you present yourself. And that's just exhausting a lot. So when you're able to play in a really safe and just freeing environment, I think that allows us to step in. And it also gives, right, inherently, I'm giving you permission and you are giving me permission to step into our authentic selves when we play and to let go, right? You don't have to be anything. Obviously, unless, we have like a power exchange thing going on, then I need you to be something, the thing I want. But in general, I think with fetishes and kink and BDSM as a whole, it allows us to be liberated, and it can be a really cathartic experience. A lot of people say it's very therapeutic. They can kind of turn their brains off for a little bit. And it goes for me too, because, I'm inherently a very kinky person. And for those that have grown up with shame or experience shame now, right, because it could be something new for them, it really just allows you to be you and have fun, and affirms the fact that, like, you're not weird or you're not strange, or, right, you can be with somebody, two consenting adults negotiating a scene, and then just like letting go and enjoying being in that space together.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So shout out to our big boss, Jennifer Thomas. She's always said that, where it's like in all her years of doing sessions or being in this environment, she doesn't feel shame, and it's something that it's almost like it's so universal, right? So it's like a session girl can tour virtually anywhere in the world. Like, it's listed. You can list on, and but there are several that I know that are like just going from city to city all around the world to several countries, and they're able to do it through sessioning. And so it is something that maybe should be a little more normalized and not seen as something shameful, right?
Absolutely. That's I've had the privilege of playing with so many people, and every time I play with somebody I get more affirmed, and I think they do too. And I encourage people to take a chance, take that risk, just do it. And it doesn't even have to be sessions, but just in life in general, especially with a professional, it's safe. I mean, obviously do your due diligence and, make sure that the person that you're seeing is the right person for you, and take the time that you need to do that, to make that decision. But ultimately, don't let that fear or your shame or just fear of rejection, maybe, I'm not sure, right? Everyone's different. But it's not weird or abnormal to feel this way or to like the things that you like. And, a big step in, I think, like, humanity is just for us to accept who we are and to celebrate all the differences and all the idiosyncrasies and all the things that make us unique, and find your people, and find people that you feel safe with, that value you for who you are, no matter how strange or bizarre, your fetish or your kink might be. There's definitely people out there, and there's a community out there. And if you're someone that needs to be discreet, there's ways to experience the pleasures of life in a very safe, discreet, and, enjoyable way.
Yeah, great. Well stated.
Thank you.
Yeah. So can you give us a little bit about your background, like even like with athletics or dance, or how did you kind of come into like sessions?
Sure. So I was a ballet dancer for pretty much from kindergarten until I graduated high school, and I did do that professionally in high school. But before I jumped into doing dance full-time as a profession, as an adult, I decided to segue and shift gears and pursue higher education. But there was a summer after I graduated high school that I joined a jiu-jitsu gym, and I'm someone that, I used to dance Monday through Sunday every day for like, my entire youth. And so I needed something to throw myself into, and I really just found that I loved Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so I was there every day that whole summer, and just really enjoyed it. There's so much about it I can talk about. But outside of that, I like lifting weights, I like being active. I do Pilates, I do yoga, I like to hike, bike, that kind of thing. And just keep myself really active. I think that's a really large component of happiness in general, is just feeling like very secure and very comfortable in your own skin. And honestly, I think life is easier when you're just in better shape in general. It just really helps, like stairs and lifting heavy things.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. There could be a whole show about like all the benefits, like as humans age, like just how to prevent injuries, or like a lot of times. I'm a physician, so I was like, I talk about this all day, but yeah, it's like I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, because you will enjoy being older if you stay fit. Right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to look like a stereotypical senior citizen when you are officially old enough to be a senior citizen, if you take care of your body.
Yeah, because then what's the point of working so hard your whole life if you can't even enjoy it when you're older? That's what I think about it, is just like, what's the point? And if you acquire all these things and then you're finally there and you've made it, but your body is, it's a direct consequence of your neglect. So honor it's not even about like aesthetics, or obviously everyone has their own reason. Some people love that vanity aspect of it, and that's great. Do what makes you feel good and whatever intrinsic motivation you need. But ultimately, you're honoring yourself when you're just a little bit more cognizant and a little kinder to yourself.
Yeah. Just to add one little statistic in there, so it's like, because of like the miracles of modern medicine, like people are living longer but a lot of times like they're living longer disabled. So going back to what you're saying, it's like, putting in the whatever can get you to put in the work in the gym or in the strength. There's like so many different aspects of health and stuff. So flexibility, strength training, diet and stuff. So whatever gets you into doing that like regularly, you're gonna be happier, and you're not gonna spend as long disabled, or you might not be disabled at all for the entirety of your life, because you don't have to be.
Yeah. And I think it's also important is like, these things shouldn't be chores. That's like, I think a big mindset shift is do what's fun. If you like walking, well, you should walk, If you want to lift weights, then do that. If you're physically unable to do certain things, like find the things that feel good. And, I don't think it's necessarily so restricted to these things that you're like, you have to like lift weights, or you have to go and run, or like, I don't like running, so I wouldn't choose to do that, but I like to wrestle. That's a great workout.
So you said that once you tried jiu-jitsu, like you really loved it. Did you feel like your ballet background like made it easier for you to kind of like learn the moves and stuff?
Sure. Yes. So different ways. In ballet and dance in general, it's a lot more choreography kind of based. So, and a lot of repetition and moving through things. So learning the actual moves was easier, I think, for me, because I just had more experience kind of with movement and doing those type of movements. But in terms of flexibility and mobility and just kind of body awareness, I think I have an advantage. I'm not I don't have the most brute strength, but I'm quick in the mind and I'm quite flexible, and I have that kind of, the strength that I have is a lot more endurance focused. And I think I'm a lot more agile And I think that's like a strong point. It's hard to pin me down.
Awesome.
I'm very like, I can just quick escape and that kind of thing. And it's always like chess. That's what I've always enjoyed about jiu-jitsu, is that you can outsmart your opponent, right? You can see them, especially if it's a really big person. And you're like, okay, like Viking, let's go, right? But they are generally depending on their strength, and they're not really thinking at all, which is fun to wrestle with, right? Because they're not used to that. So I do think that just, I mean, even if you're not doing ballet, but like stretching and flexibility is a huge aspect of wrestling and jiu-jitsu in general that can be utilized and weaponized in play.
Yeah. How have you been able to kind of blend some of these, like the wrestling aspects into your sessions?
So that's really fun to play with because it's a really easy way to assert power without really doing too much, which I like. You can scream and use a whip and, like be really loud with your energy as a Dom, or you can be more methodical and calculated and be a lot more powerful without being so big, if that makes sense. So I think with the wrestling aspect of it, it's really, it's really fun. And I really enjoy rolling with people and just using like a lot of my body. And I'm small, but I'm very strong. And I think using the biomechanics of the body in the session is really powerful, rather than, using like a paddle or using like your hand or something like that. There's no quicker way to make someone physically submit than, just putting them in a hold. And they're fighting for their life and they're struggling and they're expending all this energy and you're just hanging out. And I think that right there is like a really fun, and I don't know, I think it's really erotic to be able to not, barely lift a finger and they're just like, I'll do anything, please let me go. And so I think that aspect is really enjoyable for me, because I don't need to present this fanfare, right? It's just using the body as a tool to have them physically submit. So yeah, it's always different every session, every person. I'm a lot more of a relationship based person, so I like to learn a lot about that person in terms of what makes them tick and what, psychologically what their kink profile is like. I think in play it can be so many different things. It can be, someone wants to be physically overpowered and thrown around, right? It can be someone just wants to be held like a boa constrictor, right? And I also really enjoy that kind of mindset. But all in all, it's used as a tool that I really enjoy, because I like that physical contact. I think that's like very, it makes, you can see they're like butterflies, right? They're like, oh my gosh, she's so close to me. Oh my goodness, she's so strong. Oh my goodness, I have no control. And I have no choice but to surrender all this control over to her. And like that exchange is really powerful, and one of the many ways that it feeds my little kink heart.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. So yeah, actually, that kind of reminds me of like one of the main questions that even in our the events that we have in Las Vegas, or even other cities that we've had, where and even there's basically a lot of things about when a man and a woman were to like fight in any way or grapple. I think you've kind of already answered it, but I mean, if you wanted to state it, where like my personal opinion is like, say, martial arts is not it's not strength versus strength. A lot of times, it's like the mental, uh, like the mental ability to overcome certain scenarios, even if the person, like you said, was like a big Viking or whatever. There's because we've even seen in professional grappling. At the highest level where like some smaller men have been able to beat people who are like way over 200 pounds, like black belt level jiu-jitsu practitioners getting submitted using like leg locks or whatever. So I mean, I mean, what's your perspective on, say, like, it doesn't have to, our martial arts doesn't have to be like strength versus strength, right? A lot of times it's mind, or how do you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's one of the more exciting aspects of mixed martial arts in general is the fact that there is no, it's not really like a level playing field, and so you can use your strengths and understand and acknowledge and like really know your weaknesses better than your strengths, and make sure that your vulnerabilities are protected, and you're able to kind of think ahead. And as I mentioned with the mental chess, that's what I feel like, right? So it's, you don't need to be stronger, you just need to be more aware of your body and anticipate your victim's moves, right? And kind of anticipate their energetic force, I guess, and where it's going. You can kind of see like usually you can see them thinking. And so being able to think ahead and anticipate and use your leverage or use your body weight or use the timing of all of those things combined to be able to like get behind that, or to have your limb go in certain places at the right time. I think that's what makes it more fun too, because if it's just brute strength versus brute strength, then it's just like, okay, that's it, right? And it's like almost like a strength contest, which is still very fun to engage in, but as a smaller person that enjoys playing with all bodies, I definitely leverage those aspects more than my brute strength alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even say like something that would like kickboxing or something where it's like strikes, it's like there's still strategy, there's still ways of of actually like faking out your opponent to see if make them move one way, then you can hit them the other way.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, so that's really the way it is. And so, would you feel that? Yeah, basically, it's like, I think, say like a fight, right, is pretty much like a level playing field, and a lot of times it's like the skill set and the mentality of the individual who could like win, not necessarily like the strength. Or I mean, strength can help, but it's not necessarily the main factor.
Yeah, it's like it's not the only factor. It's like that's, I think with fights, it's not just that, it's like their athleticism, it's their endurance, it's like there's so many things, and each person is so unique in what they can offer and their strengths and weaknesses, that's what I think is really exciting about it, is that people have different strengths in different places. And so even like for me, like I'm definitely, I think most women, we love leg day versus I mean that's very generalized, but I have very strong legs. Over like an arm wrestling competition with somebody, I will try my best, but I can't say that it's like that's my party trick, versus like I don't know, or like a leg lock or something like that. Yeah, those are all fun ways to play and to enjoy the beautiful world of wrestling and mixed martial arts.
Oh, fantastic. Is there like a certain hold that you like above all the others?
So there are holds that I like, but I don't do all the time. I would say the ones that I do the most, that I do enjoy, and they all have different flavors. Like for example, the rear naked choke is probably the easiest one for me and the one I use the most, and that's because I like to be really close to them and I like to talk to them while we're playing, and so, I'll have them in that hold, and I'll be whispering to them, or, if I wanted to be really sadistic and do something like nipple torture or tickle them, right? So, I would say the ones that I do the most would probably be the rear naked choke, scissors, but there are some fun ones like the camel clutch.
Mm-hmm,
yeah, that one's a really fun one, but I can't say that it happens all the time. But to me, it's so humiliating that it's like, it's very amusing to me. And I think especially when it's a stocky built guy and you're in this really, I don't know, just exposed position, and I'm just like this small 5'4" woman. There's a little bit of satisfaction that I just get, that I'm like, oh, are you okay down there? But they're all really fun. Some of I can't say I do like toe holds or arm bars or that kind of thing, because it just ends too soon for me. And I like hunting a lot. I like hunting, like a cat and mouse, or a viper and her prey. So I think and I like when there's a little bit of struggle versus, sometimes those are just, might as well just be like rolling at the gym then, for me.
Yeah. So maybe you can even do, or do you do like some like triangle chokes too? Because sometimes you can kind of like loosen the grip a little and let them struggle.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what you're talking about. Even with the camel clutch too, right? You can kind of like
play with them.
Yeah.
Yes, I love to play. I love to play that way, and it's I am I think especially when it comes to wrestling, I'm very playful, more than in a traditional kind of dominatrix session. That's a lot. It can be a lot more serious in that way, because it's much more quiet of a scene, versus in a wrestling environment. I don't know, just I'm usually smiling, laughing, and that kind of thing, and it's a lot more fun to play with the body like that. They just become a plaything, and that's the little dessert right there, is like being able to loosen and tighten and loosen and tighten until they just can't stand it, or they pass out. But I usually try to bring them to the brink.
Yeah, that's awesome. Would you want to demonstrate a move for the audience?
Okay.
So, before we do that, we'll probably have to change the camera angle a little bit, but can you go ahead and give us like how would someone find you on Session Girls, and then also if you want to throw out your Instagram or Twitter or wherever you're at, can you give us how can people contact you?
Sure. So I have a profile on Session Girls. I have a Twitter account. It is Domina Ara Lee, DOMINAARALEE, and my my Instagram is official Domina Ara Lee. And to reach me, you will need to apply on my website. I don't take sessions from email or phone directly. So go ahead and go onto my website. It is dominaaralee.com, and fill out that application, and I look forward to reviewing it and hopefully playing with you.
All right. Well, let's get to the hold then.
Yeah.
What hold are you going to show me today?
Oh, I'm going to show you the camel clutch. You forgot to ask me where I'm touring.
Oh, sorry, where are you touring?
I'll be touring in Chicago next month, and I'll also be in New York City in October. Make sure you apply on my website.